Boston keratoplasties can reverse back many compromised situations. Development of vitreoretinal problems can make these patients more unfortunate. Complex retinal detachments developed in 2 of our post-Boston K-Pro 1 cases. Managing vitreoretina in these eyes are challenging, and the challenges in our cases were thin sclera, hypotony, limited visual field for the surgeon due to small optical cylinder. Let's go through the hurdles I faced. Here the eye was hypotenuse and there was difficulty in introducing the infusion cannula. Tip of the infusion cannula was suprachoroidal. I had to remove the trocar cannula and inject balanced solution intravitreally to build up the intraocular pressure. Now the 23 gauge trocar cannula was introduced again to introduce infusion cannula. .25 gauge chandelier's illumination was used to increase the illumination and as well as for bimanual approach. Sclera was very thin in this case. There was vitreous hemorrhage with multiple vitreous membranes. Membranes were cut. There was underlying retinal detachment. A large tear was detected inferotemporally. Thick membranes surrounding the brake were separated and dissected bimanually. There was leak from the junction of thin sclera and cannula. I introduced the cannula again. Wide-angle visualization system rolls was used. There was difficulty with visualization in all steps through the 3 mm optical cylinder. Fluid air exchange was performed to settle the detached retina. There was recurrent intraoperative choroidals due to leak around the cannulas during this step as well as during the laser. Silicone oil was injected at the end of the surgery. Scleral tunnels were unstable due to thin sclera. And all 4 ports had to be sutured. In the second case, there was thick retroprosthetic membrane which was resistant to yak capsulotomy. Tip of infusion cannula was not visible, so I had to use separate 24 gauge cannula for the intravitreal infusion to perform membranectomy. Now check the tip of the infusion cannula to proceed. Wide-angle visualization system rolls was also used in this case. There was old vitreous hemorrhage and underlying retina was detached. Vitreous base excision with scleral depression was difficult. No definite break could be detected in this case. A separate retinotomy was performed to do fluid air exchange. Retina was settled. Laser barrage was performed around the retinotomy as well as 360-degree periphery. Silicone oil was also used in this case as the endotamponate. Leak through the junction of K-Pro plates happened during silicone oil injection. So, to summarize, the hurdles faced during managing these cases were suprachoroidal infusion, leakage around the cannula, difficulty in visualization, difficulty in vitreous base excision, intraoperative recurrent choroidal detachment, and retroprosthetic membrane. Boston keratoprosthesis 1 are site-saving, and development of complex retinal detachment even make it more challenging. So far, we faced development of complex retinal detachment in 2 of our 54 Boston K-Pro 1 cases. First case resulted in thumbsical eye, and the second one maintained counting finger close to face for 5 months post-surgery. So, how we can improve visualization through the optical cylinder of the Boston K-Pro 1 to manage vitreoretina? While using wide-angle visualization system rolls, marginal light rays from the microscope will hit the cylinder walls before reaching the retina, resulted in compromised surgical field. But if the inner wall of the optical cylinder is made like a truncated cone-shaped one, then these marginal rays meant for the wide-angle surgical field will reach the retina, and then surgeon can visualize better to work with more precision. This hypothesis will need further research to develop the optical cylinder with truncated cone-shaped inner wall without compromising patient's field of vision.